One of the major projects in this class is what I call the Interacting with Nature project. There are two major assignments associated with this project. One is the Nature Journal, and the other is a presentation of a creative expression of your interaction with nature. The Nature Journal will have you spend time observing nature as well as contribute data to a citizen science project. And then you're going to record 6 entries of doing this in your OneNote lab notebook. I'll talk about this in more detail in a moment. The other part of this project is to create something, and there's lots of options, which I'll talk about in a little bit later, and then give a presentation of what you created and what your relationship is and interactions were with nature. This will happen at the end of the semester. Let's talk a little bigger though, but why bother doing this? Why interact with nature? Interacting with nature is really important for self-care and well-being. One recent paper by White et al. 2019 found that spending around 120 minutes per week in nature has real measurable benefits in health and well-being. Spending time in nature can also help us care about the world around us and want to protect it. There are a lot of other reasons as well. These are just 2. How do I expect you to interact with nature for this class? You can interact with nature by going outside or staying inside, or a combination. I encourage you to get outside when you can because the fresh air is really great. But if you can't get outside for some reason, there are inside options as well. You can look at a webcam, such as I really like to look at the jellyfish webcam from the Monterey Bay Aquarium. I find it really soothing. You can look out a window. You can listen to nature sounds, such as the soundscapes of nature, different things in nature on the Calm app. For example, I like listening to the ocean waves on the Calm app. Those are all options. I'll also note that you can see there are some links here. You can't click on the links if you're watching the video, but the slides for this are also included on Moodle. And all of the links and all the resources are also included in the assignment documentation for the nature project, which is linked from the syllabus, which is also linked on Moodle. So if you start in Moodle, there are usually links there to the resources that you need. There are also lots of links on OneNote as well. So once you're outside or inside and interacting with nature, and again, you can be interacting with nature visually by watching it or looking at it, but you can also listen to things and use other senses. But I really recommend that you try your best to spend at least a little bit of time mindfully observing the nature around you, whether that's with your eyes or your other senses. And I've included a bunch of resources on how to mindfully observe nature in the assignment documentation. Another part of interacting with nature is that for this semester is that you should collect at least one piece of data for a citizen science project each time you do a nature observation. And like I said before, you should do this at least 6 times over the course of the semester. You can stick to doing the same project, the same citizen science project for the whole semester, or you can try lots of different projects. There are examples included in the assignment documentation. So what is citizen science and why should you do it? Citizen science projects are ways to basically crowdsource collecting information. It's not always a biology related thing, but for this class, you will want to pick projects that have to do with biodiversity, ecology, and conservation. So the theme fits within the theme of this class. You don't have to be a citizen of any particular country or anything to be involved. And in fact, there are some people who don't like the term citizen science. Some people use the term community science, et cetera, et cetera. But citizen science is still the most commonly used term. So that's what I'll use since it might be easier for you to search for things by using that term. There are lots of examples, as I said, provided, and not just specific examples, but even there are links to things that can help you find additional citizen science projects linked on the assignment documentation. But the purpose of these projects is to, and the reason why we're using it in this class is that it helps you contribute to something larger and help others. The data from these projects are used by many people. Some of those people may be scientists trying to answer a particular question, It could be a teacher using it in their class to help students learn how to use data or look at data or do analyses. There are lots of different ways the data are used, and also just by regular people who are just interested. And it can also be, by getting involved in citizen science, it can be a lifelong way to engage with nature. And anyone can participate. There's no real limitations. Certain citizen science projects may require you to get some training to help with that particular project, but there are lots and lots of projects that don't require any real training and are pretty easy to get involved with without much knowledge or anything. There are some great apps that you can get on your phone that can be really helpful. I'd say the most commonly used one for this class is the iNaturalist app. Within this iNaturalist app, you can even pick more specific projects within it. Like a lot of students recently have been picking ones to do with mushrooms. There's the eBird app. So if you're really interested in birds, Nature's Notebook is a really great one to use to look at the same thing over and over again. And we actually have some shrubs around the Paradise Pond path that have been tagged that you can watch over the course of the semester and see when they start budding and leafing out as spring progresses. And so that is another option. There are lots of other options. These are just probably the three most popular. If you can't get outside, there are also apps and things that you can use, such as Zooniverse or NemoNet. So that's the citizen science project and mindfully observing nature are things that you would do 6 different times over the course of the semester and record that each time that you do that in your nature journal in OneNote. The other part of this project is to do a presentation on the last day of lab. During that last presentation, you will talk about which citizen science project or projects you contributed data to and what your experience was doing that. And then you'll create something that expresses your interaction with nature. You'll show what you created, explain the symbolism, and express your personal experience and emotions. And that will be, again, on the last day of lab. We'll talk about this more as we go through the semester, but there are a lot of different options. I mean, people always come up with new things all the time. I made a video a little while back that has some examples of student projects that you can look at. And again, all this is on the assignment document. If you need supplies or tools, I encourage you to check out the Smith College Makers Map. Again, this link is on the assignment documentation, and there are lots of places on campus where you can go to make things, and there's supplies and tools and things available for you. And if you discover something really great and useful, I encourage you to share your experience on Slack for other students to learn about in the class, to learn about what cool things you've discovered. For more information, do look at the assignment documentation, ask questions, and we can certainly take time in class to answer any questions or help clarify things.